Okay, so now we are live. Welcome, everybody. I'm Chris Wassel. I'm the Community Engagement Director at FIRST, and I have two wonderful volunteers to discuss this topic of ichthyosis and laundry, and that's Nicole and Sarah. They're two first moms, different parts of the country, but we're all dealing with laundry, and I'm sure you're joining us to find out all these helpful hints. So Nicole, why don't you just give us a little background about yourself and your family situation, and welcome.
Sure. Hi, I'm Nicole Saylor, and we have 5 kids all together. Our 2 boys are affected. They joined our family through adoption, so we have 2 different kinds of ichthyosis in our home. We have a teenage boy who has lamellar ichthyosis, and then a 7-year-old who has harlequin ichthyosis.
Welcome. Sarah, how about you?
Sure. I'm Sarah Augenbaugh, and I live in Minnesota. We've got 3 daughters. They are 9, 6, and 4. And actually, my 6-year-old would very much want everybody to know that she will be 7 in just 2 weeks. So
That's
let the record
amazing.
show that she's an almost 7-year-old. And our youngest, who's 4, is affected with lamellar ichthyosis.
Okay, so as I'm sure you're very well versed in the fact that with ichthyosis, all the emollients that people use can clog up the wash. There's obviously a lot of absorption into the clothes of the emollients, and we've had topics. I mean, this is a topic that comes off so frequently, especially with the new families, and as time goes on, they really want to know what are the tips for it, because I know people go through washing machines like crazy, and that's obviously a huge expense. So maybe you can start, even Sarah, you want to start and just say, what is your number one tip for our viewing audience?
My number one tip. I think the thing that was really helpful for us is that when our daughter was born, we'd never heard of ichthyosis. Everything was super overwhelming. And I tasked my mom with figuring out laundry. Our daughter was in the NICU, and this was just one of these concrete things when everything seemed so unknown and we were just trying to wrap our heads around it. This was something that a well-intentioned friend or family member could take on for us. And so tapping into like the laundry resources that FIRST has on the webpage, and then having my mom look at our washer and our dryer and kind of put it all together, that like, this is just something concrete that was easily pushed off onto somebody else at a time that we felt really like just trying to keep our nostrils above water. And so we kind of started there. And then my mom put together some stuff, and we have like our laundry guide dangling from one of these little keychain thingies on like the shelf in our laundry area. So this is like the gold standard. I don't always follow it, but if anybody else, if we have family or guests or something like that, they can just look at this and go through our laundry and not make things worse or gum things up or things like that. So kind of this being something concrete that someone else, if you have people who want to help and you don't really know what that is, laundry is a really good concrete thing to start out with. And then we've got just posted dangling in our laundry area the how-to for our specific laundry setup. And so just kind of getting that out of the gates was a huge thing, as we were just juggling with the basics as our daughter was born, and then just wanting to like spend time with our baby that anybody with a new baby wants to do. Having someone else custom look at our laundry.
That's interesting that you knew that right from the hospital. That seems really early.
I think it just, this was our house is the first house that we've ever owned, and before that we were renters, and we were always doing like, you know, community laundry in like the laundry room with the basement or in a laundromat or something like that. So I knew enough to know I was totally in over my head laundry wise, and my mom knows laundry better than I do. So I think in the midst of everything I knew and didn't know in the early days after our daughter was born, I knew enough to know that I had no idea what to do with laundry, and that my mom could help with that it was going to be a thing, but I just didn't know exactly how.
That's I'm really I'm surprised myself. I guess I've never heard of it that early, but that's some great information, because you're right, there is, it's very overwhelming in the beginning. I mean, Nicole, with 5 kids and 2 affected, I'm sure I would think you probably have it down pat, but it's maybe not. What is your favorite tip for our members?
So our son with Harlequin ichthyosis still likes to use a lot of really thick. He likes a big, thick layer of Aquaphor a lot. So his laundry, we actually started the routine right from the very beginning that we do a whole like boiling process and then take it to the laundromat, which I can describe better later. So that's what we still do for him. So if that's your situation, my tip is to buy lots and lots of clothes, because you might think you're going to do that weekly, and then 2 weeks might go by and you're trying to figure out like what pants to put on the kids. So that's my tip. If you're going to do the laundromat route, have lots of cheap clothes that they can wear. And then our older son with lamellar, he's older, but he joined our family as an older kid. So he doesn't really like to use Aquaphor. He slaps a little bit on occasionally, and that's all he wants to do. So his laundry isn't really too much. We feel comfortable doing that here at the house. He actually does it himself now at age 15. And his process is a little bit more intense than our unaffected kids that do their own laundry, but you know, yeah, I can describe it later, but he's able to handle it. And so I actually don't have to touch his laundry too much. He handles it.
Aren't you lucky? Now that's a great tip for all the kids.
Training.
Learn
Yeah.
from a very young age. That's fantastic. I mean, there has been talk, people were saying, what's the best type of washing machine to use? Because I know when the front loaders came out, everyone thought, oh, that would be great. But I've heard from our members many times that that is not a good option for cleaning the clothes with all the emollients in it. Do you have any experience with that, either of you? I mean, I guess at the laundromat, it is front loader, but it's like a industrial strength.
Yeah, I have no trouble with our younger son's clothes. I take it to the laundromat and it's in the big industrial front loaders. And I'm hoping that we're not causing problems for them over the years. We use a couple different laundromats, and I think it's fine. At home, we have a top loader, and we've had it for a couple of years and have had no trouble with our older son's laundry. So we just have him use the hottest water that we have, and we have nice hot water at our house. And more like soap. We use Dawn dish liquid for him to kind of degrease things, which we wouldn't typically use with laundry. And we run another like hot soapy water empty load when he's done. And that cleans it out then for the next person to be doing their laundry.
So you do it completely separate for your 2 sons?
Yeah, we keep really everybody in the house keeps their laundry separate because they're all doing, my husband and I, ours are together, but each of the kids is separate because they're each responsible for their own laundry. Not Daniel, I do his, but our 15-year-old son, he does his own laundry. His 13-year-old sister doesn't want to do his laundry for him. So
wow, that's fantastic.
and vice versa. He doesn't want to do his sister's laundry either.
So this weekend we were in Delaware for our patient support forum, and one of the moms there was saying that she pours the Dawn right into the laundry. Right into the laundry okay. Do either of you guys pre-treat with the Dawn, or is that not necessary?
So I'll go through our older son that we do his laundry here at home. He does it now, but he puts his laundry in it's a top loader. He puts his laundry in there, puts a normal amount of regular laundry soap in, and then we just have him squeeze the Dawn soap bottle. Like, I forget how many seconds we said that for him to do it, something like 5 or 6 seconds. He just squeezes the bottle in there. And yeah, and then he runs it on, like, it's hot water. It's he soaks it for 30 minutes. We have all those settings on our washing machine. And then he does the extra rinse and the extra spin at the end of the cycle also. And he always uses, even if it's only a small or medium sized load, he always uses like the super water setting. I just feel like the more hot soapy water that's sloshing the clothes around in there, this isn't necessarily the time to be really eco-friendly and efficient with our energy usage. He needs the hot water and as much of it as possible. But even that, it's just a guess. I don't know what would really happen if we didn't, have him using the super hot water. But we have a septic system, so that has been our concern in the beginning, is that if we mess up the pipes too far down, that's a really, really expensive fix. Which is why our other son, whose clothes are really soaked in Aquaphor, that's why we take his to the laundromat.
Oh, that's actually very interesting. I mean, Sarah, I didn't hear you say anything about a laundromat, but are you using your own machines and it hasn't been a problem?
We're using our own machine and it hasn't been a problem. This is the washer dryer that was here when we bought our house, and I'm admittedly kind of giving it a little bit of side eye, like, are we kind of getting towards the end of the life stage here? But ours also is it's a top loader. And we do a pretty similar setup to Nicole's family. My daughter is 4, so her clothes are littler. So Nicole, your comment about just using more water to kind of slosh around, I think makes a ton of sense as kids, and then by default their clothes get bigger. If anything, if I'm kind of switching it up, I'll do like a separate, more intense cycle on our daughter's pajamas, because her most kind of intense or thick lotion happens at night after her bath and before she puts on her pajamas. So her pajamas often get just kind of absorb more of those lotions and creams than her daytime stuff. So I might do a separate load of those. Again, hot water soak, Dawn, just like very unscientifically squirt it all straight in the tub. And then sometimes I'll add it to the regular water cycle too. I haven't seen it do any harm. And again, just to break up the grease of the Aquaphor that we might be using, really just seems to make a difference.
Now, did you guys ever have any trouble? I've heard this too, that the inner ring, like the rubber gasket type thing, broke down after all that Aquaphor. Did you have any issue like that, or how you handled that? Maybe you didn't, but I have heard that.
I have seen, parents post, photos of how they pull apart their washing machine and have to deal with all of that. We have not. Like
Laura,
I said,
think I've heard that more being a thing.
Okay. Yeah. It's only been about 3 years that we've had our older son's laundry going through our washing machine, and it's completely intact still.
Oh, great. Because I mean, I know even when the kids were little and they're wearing the elastic around their waist, that seemed to break down with the emollients, right? So you would think, this little piece of plastic or the rubbery thing in the, I don't know, that's very non-technical. I guess it's a gasket that even if it didn't break down, the emollients would be trapped in there. Like, it almost looks like black goop. And I know people said that they've used Dawn, like an empty washing machine with really hot water to try to break that down. Maybe, I don't know if it's every other time, but maybe, every few times they would do that.
That is part of our routine for our older son. After he does his laundry, usually he's doing his laundry once a week. It's like one big load that he does.
Mhm.
He then runs an empty load with like super
Okay.
high water, super hot, the high water level, the hottest water we have, even with the soak, and he dumps Dawn in it.
Oh, okay. So that's what
So
I've
just
heard.
kind of it's getting cleaned every time that way.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Go ahead.
we do a similar thing at our house. And I'll totally admit there was like special like laundry potion packets. Again, like kind of like your gasket, Chris, like that's probably not the technical term for them, but like a washing machine packet potion thing. And I think there was a sale at Target and I got too many because I was a new parent of a kid with ichthyosis. And I was like, I'm going to fix everything because I'm going to have laundry cleaner things. And we found that Dawn works just as well for kind of just getting, sometimes like there's that residue and we just keep, for the times that it's rare, like keep
Freeze
a
it up.
spatula, like an old spatula and an old scrape any is super hot.
Oops, I think you're freezing a little bit, Sarah. I like that tip too, using a spatula. That's pretty, that's innovative to try to scrape that out. I think that's important because did you ever notice after, even after you cleaned it, did you notice any residue on the next load of wash? Or you think that hot water and Dawn dish detergent really does the trick?
We haven't noticed any oils on anybody else's clothes. I will say sometimes near the top of the barrel, we really should have looked up laundry vocabulary. The top of the barrel thing that it's in, up near the top, that does sometimes get like it's just some grease kind of sticking around there. So when I notice it, I'll just take like a sponge with Dawn on it and just kind of scrub that out and then just run a quick load to rinse it down. But that's I don't know, maybe every couple months I notice something like that, but it's not getting on anybody else's clothes.
Oh, that's great. Now I noticed you said you use super hot water and a long cycle. Do you ever notice that your clothes are shrinking or the color's all bleeding out? Is that, not that that's an issue for you, maybe, just as long as it's clean is fine, but do you notice that happens too?
I will say for my son's clothes, like, yeah, he can't put his new white sweatshirt in with his red soccer uniform. Like that's going to be a problem.
Right.
So, he does have to do a separate white load, whenever he has enough clothes for that. I don't really know I guess we've never tested it, but I'm assuming that would bleed onto his white clothes.
Definitely. That's fascinating. I was actually going to pop over just to see if there were any questions. Although, like I said, we had technical difficulties at the beginning of this. Sorry if you missed the beginning, but it is recorded and we're going to share it on Facebook after this. Rebecca was saying, thank you so much for the info. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are feeling like they're learning some helpful hints here. Trying to think what else with the wash. I think one of the best helpful hints so far is get your kids to do the wash, right? Nicole, that's
once they're old enough, yeah.
I like that one very much.
Yeah.
And
well, I'll just tell a funny little anecdote that started in our home when our oldest daughter was 10 years old, and I noticed I had done her laundry and it was still like in the laundry basket clean in her bedroom. And instead of putting it away when I told her to, she just dumped it back into her hamper and rolled the hamper back into the hallway. And that happened once. And after that happened the second time, I said, nope, I'm going to teach you how to do laundry. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
So that's how it all got started around here. And it's been good. I will spend a few minutes explaining my laundromat routine for anybody who wants to go that route, or if their kids do use a ton of Aquaphor and they don't want that in their washing machine or their pipes. So for our, like I said, for our son with Harlequin ichthyosis, with his, it's not all of his clothes, but you can feel like which of his things are really like soaked in Aquaphor, like Sarah said, especially the pajamas, but a lot of his pants and shirts get that way too. So what I do is I just set aside an hour of my life, and I get like 4 pots of water boiling on the stove. I have these big, I believe they're 5-gallon, like big plastic kind of industrial like buckets that we keep for this. And I separate, I put his laundry into those buckets. We usually have like 6 of them going. And I just fill them up with boiling hot water, literally boiling water, and Dawn, tons of Dawn, like, I don't know, like a cup per thing.
Oh.
And I just use this big, like oversized paint stick, and I just stir the laundry into the boiling water. It takes me about an hour to do, like 2 weeks worth of his laundry that way. So I've got it. I mean, in the beginning, it took a lot longer, but that's kind of, it's just like a part of my life now. And yeah, so then it sits and it cools for the next like day and a half or 2 days, just sitting there in our kitchen, taking up space. And it, when we're done, then when it's cool, I take the top off the buckets and I scrape. There's like this like layer of the Aquaphor that has kind of risen to the top of the bucket, and I just take that and I scrape it out and throw it out. And then in the very beginning, I would hand wring his clothes, but you don't want to do that. So my father-in-law bought us a mop, like an industrial mop wringer thing. It's this like yellow thing on wheels. That's for like if you like mop at a restaurant or at a grocery store or something, and you can like push this. Yeah. So I just put his clothes in that little thing, and I push it, and put them in a hamper, and then I just do that until all the clothes have been wrung out, and then I take the clothes to the laundromat and run them through their like biggest, best washing machines they have. And like Sarah, I have great grandparent help around here. So my mom, she used to send me rolls of quarters. She would like drop them off at my house to take to the laundromat. And now she just cuts me a check every couple of months to help subsidize this. So I do know it is expensive, but to us, it's still less expensive than buying a new washing machine every 2 years.
That's actually a very good point. Yes.
So that system really works for us. The clothes come out of that washing machine at the laundromat. No trouble, just the normal. They're going to hold on to some oil, but not very much. And the washing machines at the laundromat are not getting messed up. They're not greasy inside. They seem to be able to handle, and I use like all the extra settings, the extra hot, extra soak, extra rinse. Like I pay the extra 25 cents for each of those extra things. And his clothes come out really nice and last a really long time.
That's,
And I take them home to dry them. I don't bother paying for the laundromat dryers.
Oh, that's smart. I know I'm really glad you spoke about the laundromat, because I never even thought of that either. And maybe not everyone has access to that, but that's actually a great option, especially if you have a big bulk. So it's just Daniel's clothes that you're doing, right? Interesting.
Yeah, in general. Sometimes with our older son, like his pillowcases get pretty, soaked with Aquaphor. So I'll throw his pillowcases in, or, I'll use that opportunity to take to take everybody's quilts or blankets off their bed and throw them in while I'm there. So, but it works for us. We have nice laundromats around here. Haven't had too many weird situations, and I like it as part of our routine for his laundry.
That's great. I guess, Sarah, maybe that's not something you needed. Well, you said your washing machine is going great. I mean, knock on wood, right? your washing machine is doing okay with your clothes. Okay, that's nice. Because there were a couple people that said their washing machine lasts 2 years, and that was it. So I guess even this preventive maintenance, almost the preventative soak or using Dawn all the time, really does break it down and doesn't cause as much trouble. And as far as the dryer, there's no issue. I know in the beginning, actually a long time ago, I remember someone saying they were concerned that it would be a fire hazard with it, and it was just a question, but I never, did you ever hear that?
I did hear that, and so I do tend to dry their clothes on just low or medium, not on like the regular hot setting. But I don't
Okay.
know if that would really happen or if that's more of just, I don't want it to happen, so I'm not going to mess with it.
Oh, I know what you mean. That's how about you, Sarah? Did you hear anything like that?
Same here. I've heard the same thing, and it's just
Is it a
I've
is it
heard
a
I've heard
urban
it kind of
legend,
in
urban tale?
the conversations among families. I think it's scientifically possible, but I don't have any personal experience, but I just don't want to go there, and so dry everything on low. I actually have a question for Nicole based on something you just said. Just the one thing that I found, we're not in the point of like separating laundry like by colors or the bleeding or anything for my daughter, but we've just noticed that the elastic and things tends to wear out really fast. And I guess that's a combination of the lotion kind of wear and tear, and then just kind of the extra heavy duty laundry process that we employ as a result, that combination. And Nicole, you said that Daniel's clothes last a while. Admittedly, my daughter's the youngest. She's got two older sisters, so she's also getting lots of hand-me-downs. So we're also at the end of the hand-me-down clothing line, but I'm curious if you have any tips for just like not having the elastic disintegrate. And then her pants are droopy and
I don't have any tips for that. The elastic just disintegrates. When Daniel was little, he rocked suspenders almost all the time because of that. So tons of pictures of him when he was 2 or 3 in suspenders. He eventually got where he doesn't like them, and they kind of interfere with, they're a little difficult with potty training and stuff. So but we just now I just specifically buy clothes with drawstrings, so that when the elastic starts to die, we've got the drawstring to work with. I literally just bought I don't remember, it was off of Amazon. I found these pants for like $6.99, and they all had drawstrings. So I bought like 8 of them in his size he's in right now, because just so he'd have them. And he grows kind of slowly, so he stays in the same size for a really long time. And I hate throwing the clothes out just because the elastic died.
That's another great tip. I love that. And now I guess for the younger kids, like the much younger kids, you don't want to have a string, a tie.
When he was really little, his grandmother actually would sew a drawstring into like his pants that didn't have them. But, that's yeah.
Once again, it takes a village, right? I mean, you
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
your families are
We have great
wonderful.
family. Yeah.
That's really nice.
And sometimes his t-shirts, like his depending on the material, they will get kind of stretched out and never quite go back to their original shape. But yeah, we find too that people are just always handing down clothes, and we just, especially the pants that have drawstrings in them, we kind of make sure we get those and keep them.
Wow. What do you think about that, Sarah? Did you ever think about that? For your kids, or your daughter, I should say, the one affected.
Yeah, the drawstring is brilliant. I think for our part, we've just kind of made our peace with the elastic bit of we're going to use whatever clothes and hand-me-downs we have at hand, and then we'll kind of see where it takes us and get so it's just kind of like I haven't found a cure, but the drawstring piece is really practical. Yeah, it's great.
I think it's a little easier for boys' clothes. It's more typical for boys' clothes to have drawstrings than like girls' leggings aren't gonna, come with drawstrings. So
Mhm.
I think it's a little easier having a boy. And I will say, like, if you're willing to just shop at Goodwill or, other secondhand stores, you can get kids' clothes so super cheap that you could just, wear the clothes till the drawstring wears out, and then just get some more, uh, gently used clothes.
Yeah, that's another great tip. Um,
Yep.
well, let's see, we covered.
And then there's just the funny peculiarities of
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just gonna say, with my dog, funny here.
A little bit freezing.
She just would few because, oh,
There you go. Yeah, you froze a little there. I'd like to hear what you were going to say, if you can hear us. You're on mute. Oops.
I was just gonna say, my daughter went through a stage where she hated buttons on clothes. So also just kind of keeping in mind those other things that have to do with ichthyosis, where kids have
Or even the
opinions
drawstrings.
about
Sometimes that's tough with the little kids too, because they can't
how they get dressed
necessarily.
at home.
Sorry, Sarah. I was just going to say, for the little kids, sometimes it's hard with the drawstrings not being able to tie the or get them off if you have to go to the bathroom, that kind of stuff.
That's definitely a thing. Daniel can undo it fine, but then he often comes to me after he's done in the bathroom and needs help getting resituated.
Yes, yeah, that would be an issue. Sarah, you went out a little bit there. I didn't want to cut you off. You froze a little, so I wasn't sure what your last little tidbit was there.
I'm not sure what it was either, but I moved to another part of my house where I think I have better connection. So
Oh, good. That's great.
on the move.
Aren't we all, right? You just have to keep bringing your laptop or your phone in different rooms. So just to cover, I know there was a lot of technical difficulties tonight. Facebook, I know people were asking where's the live. It is live, but it wasn't showing up on our main page and it wouldn't let me share it. So, but after the call, it goes on to a recording on Facebook. And if that somehow that was a problem, I've recorded it. So at least by tomorrow morning, it would be all together and shared. So, and all these videos that we do through Zoom, we always share them on first YouTube channel. So even if you missed it live or you can't watch it till tomorrow, it lives forever out there. So people can always touch base and check with that.
I have one other laundry thing that neither of us have mentioned tonight.
Mhm.
With both of our sons, we need to like shake their laundry out before we do it. And I guess maybe we're just so used to it now that I didn't even think to mention it. But so part of our older son who does his own laundry is he has to take his laundry outside and he just shakes it into the yard before he puts it into the washing machine. And then we do that with our other sons as well. Even the stuff going to the laundromat, it just works. So you have, like, I just feel like you have to do that step. It's not really
And what's the shaking do, did you say?
all of the skin flakes that are in it need to kind of come out. Like you don't necessarily want all of that going through
Oh,
the
very
washing
good.
machine. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but yeah,
Yes.
like you want to get the majority of that
Oh, that's a very good
out
tip.
of the clothing.
Do you do that too, Sarah?
Yep, we do the same. We do the same thing. I'll admit to being a little bit lazier. We don't take ours outside necessarily, but we'll go and just thinking about what drain or what pipes you're shaking into. Like we'll shake either into like the bathtub or over the toilet just because those pipes are bigger, at least we were told, as opposed to over a sink where that drainage system is narrower. So even just thinking about size of pipes and drain and everything. So toilet or bathtub is what we do.
Oh, interesting. So to recap, I just wanted to say top loaders were preferred, hottest washing on the hottest water, hot soapy water, using lots and lots of Dawn, both in the washing machine and afterwards to wipe things down if necessary. There was a concern about the septic system, and you have to make sure your situation, you keep an eye on those different things. The dryer didn't seem to be too much of an issue, but drying on low was a preferred option. The whole shrinking of the clothes, I think even, with the emollients, the clothes will break down maybe quicker. And one tip was to go to the secondhand store to just buy some more clothes at a cheaper price. And also to shake the clothes out before you start the wash. But all really, really good practical tips, and people are clamoring for them. So thank you very much, Nicole, for your time, and Sarah too. You guys are awesome and wonderful families, and I hope we see you at the National Family Conference. We did finally have our first in-person meeting on Saturday, and it was so nice. It really was nice to see people again, connecting and sharing tips. So
The Sailor clan will be there. We and our brother and sister-in-law and probably the grandparents will all be there.
oh, it's a family affair. That's so nice. And we're trying to have like programming for those different segments. So that'll be great. Yeah, we love to see there's nothing like in person. It's been way too long. And there's scholarships available for people. Everything's on the website. People are starting to book their hotels. I think they said we have maybe 80 or 90 people registered so far. So we're full steam ahead. So we're looking forward to a great conference. But in the meantime, Zoom's going to have to hold us over till then. So, but thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And that's it. So good night, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.